This past weekend, Zach Krieger has a new film out in theaters called Weapons. I was very much anticipating this movie, and I put out a spoiler-free review on the channel after I was done watching the movie, and there was a lot of things I couldn't talk about because spoiler reasons. So I gave you guys the weekend to go see the movie, weekend and a day, and today I'm going to dive spoilers, breaking down everything in this movie. Before I do that, please make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, and what are your opinions on Weapons? Tell me down below. Don't be afraid to spoil anything, because this is a spoiler review. Anything you say, it will be completely fine, because no spoilers. The dog's coming over here to say hi. What's up, guys? And with that said, let's dive into talking about Weapons. Now, I'm not going to talk if I like the movie or not, because I have a review on the channel. I love the movie. I thought it was a great horror film from Zach Krieger. Thought it had some script issues, and we'll talk about that a little more. But overall, it is a very, very good movie, and one that has really not left my head since last Thursday when I saw it, and it grows on me over time. I desperately wish I could give it 5 stars, but I can't. Why not? I will tell you here. So we're going to go throughout the entire movie. The movie opens up with dialogue by a kid, a young girl, just kind of setting up the situation here. At 2:17 in the morning, 17 kids got out of bed, ran out, and have went missing. We are a couple months into the future. She says that a lot of people die in a lot of messed up ways in this movie, which is very true, but we'll get into that. So something I loved about this movie is that there are numerous title cards with different characters on them. So the first one, we get the teacher, Julie. I think her name is Julia. I hope her name is Julia. And we followed Julie as, you know, after the events where the kids ran off, 17 kids ran off. So she's at this parent-teacher meeting, this huge meeting where they're just discussing their feelings. Benedict Wong's character, who's the principal, is just trying to say stuff like, hey, we need to calm down. We need to figure this out together. We need to be strong and don't need to go blaming people. Because the two people that are the suspects in this mystery, Julia, which is the teacher, and the one kid that did not disappear from the classroom. Something I did not know from the trailers. One kid stayed in the classroom. His name is Alex. He's very important later on. But they were two suspects in this whole mystery. So everyone talking to her. Josh Brolin's character stands up, and he wants Julie to go on stage, and he wants her to give a speech. And she tries, but nobody lets her talk. And I'm not going to lie, I was full-on invested. From that opening sequence to continue on, I was really invested, really interested in what was happening, and, you know, great way to start out the movie with that sequence. So the meeting gets over. Benedict Wong is walking Julie out to her car as the whole mob of parents go after her, and she leaves. Later on, she goes to the liquor store because now she's a full-on alcoholic, and we find out later in the movie by Archer, which is Josh Brolin's character, that she is she has a very complicated past. Apparently, she worked at a previous school where she had relations with another teacher or another member of the staff, and she was caught doing it, or something along those lines. Earlier in her career at this school, she talked with Alex one-on-one in a conversation, which is just a big no-no. So she has a past. And very clearly, she is an alcoholic. She's going to get alcohol. She receives a phone call. Answers the phone. Ring, ring. Hello? All she hears is, who is it? Hello? Yeah, sorry, my breath machine isn't working. No, I'm kidding. He didn't say that. But he started to threaten her, and she instantly hangs up. Later on, she goes home, she pours herself a glass of liquor, and she gets ready to get wasted as she gets a knock on her door, or her doorbell rings. And I do think this is a very tension-filled scene. We've seen it in other films before, but she shouts out, hey, who's there? Nobody answers, you know, the typical thing. She looks out the keyhole, no one's there. Piss on it, walks away, and then all of a sudden, slams on the door. She turns around, who's there? No one answers. She opens her door, and someone wrote witch on her car. Now, I loved this, because, if you don't know, witchcraft is a very prominent play in the back half of the movie. So, subtle foreshadowing that I thought was really effective. I honestly really, I didn't think much of it leaving the theater, but now that I've had almost a week to think about it, I'm like, That's really smart. That's really effective. She continues to live out her life, confronting the principal of the school, played expertly by Benedict Wong, and asks him if she can have a conversation with Alex. She feels like she has survivor's guilt. Her and Alex are the only two people in this class that didn't go missing. Obviously, the principal says no. That's a big no-no in the school. You can't have one-on-one time with the kiddies, Julia. I guess because it's weird. I don't know. I don't see why she and some other person can't just talk to the kid, but still, she can't do it. But she tries anyways. She follows him home from school. She tracks him down. She keeps watch on him to, well, one day he's on his way into his house and she stops him, says, "Hey, Alex, are you doing okay? I just want to talk to you." And Alex, being a man, "Ew, woman, get away from me!" sprints back to his house. He didn't obviously say, "Woman, get away from me." He was more like, "Get away from me, I don't want to talk to you," and runs to the house. We'll learn why later on in the movie. Now, she's really upset, so she goes to the house, she walks up to the house, she walks up to the door, and she sees that the windows are sealed shut with newspapers. That's peculiar. So why not do a little bit of breaking and entering? She runs through the back. She looks through all the windows, trying to find a crack, trying to see something that's going on. And she does. She sees a little tiny crack, doing the peeks. What's in there? What's in the little tiny crack? And all of a sudden she sees two people sitting right upright like this. Thought they were mannequins. That was a jump scare that me and my friend and my brother were like, "Whoa!" But like, again, a typical jump scare, not anything you haven't seen before. But you see that there's two people just sitting there. I thought they were mannequins. They're not mannequins. She runs out. She calls the principal. "Yo, CPS maybe? I mean, there's a kid here after 17 kids went missing with newspapers all around his windows and him acting very strange, and we haven't talked to his parents. CPS maybe?" Which I think one of my minor flaws of the movie, and I do have major flaws, but one of the minor ones I have is that too many weird things happen at Alex's house for the authorities not to instantly, and I do mean instantly, like, check everywhere. It's kind of explained later on, but a little bit of extending my belief, like, okay, I don't believe that the police would have found this by now. So she calls CPS. Principal kind of throws her off. Also, she did call one of her cop friends while she was at the police station for some reason that I can't quite remember. I think for questioning or whatever. And one of her friends who is a cop, I can't necessarily remember his name, we'll just call him Coppy, and they go to the bar together. He's trying to be sober, but they end up drinking, and the question is, he wakes up in her bed, did they do it or did they not do it? And that's going to come into play later because it's revealed he has a wife. She goes to the liquor store, so-called wife or wife or girlfriend, somewhere around there. Wifey comes and attacks her, throws her on the ground, opens a bottle of liquor, pours it on her. "Hey, you can't do that. You have to pay for that. Liquor isn't free, woman." So the store clerk throws her outside. The most useful thing that store clerk did in this entire movie. We'll talk about him later on. Also, at this liquor store, there's this guy outside that's constantly asking, "Hey, can I get money so I can go see my brother?" Spoiler alert, he's not going to see his brother. Anyways, after she's attacked at the liquor store, she goes and she sits outside in her car at Alex's house, just sitting there watching. Not creepy at all. She falls asleep. It's the middle of the night, and all of a sudden you see this. Some random lady run out of the house doing the Egyptian walk. Walk like an Egyptian. Whatever that song is. She's going, yeah, like running down the street, full force, doing this. She sneaks into the back of her car, opens the trunk, and comes and cuts a lock of her hair. My hair's not long enough to cut, but you get the gist. And then, boom, next title card. And at this point of the movie, I was thinking, okay, this is interesting, but I'm not sure I like necessarily where it's going. I feel like it's introduced so many things with the cop character, with what's going on with her investigating the house. And I felt like it was a little bit weird. And then this title card, it's Archer, the character played by Josh Brolin. Now, let's talk about Julia Garner for a second. I, like an idiot, forgot to mention the performances in my review. Julia Garner, all-timer, I think she's great. Even though I don't think her character is necessarily that likable, she is great in the role. Josh Brolin, I adore Josh Brolin. He's good in this movie. I didn't connect with his character any. So what he does is, obviously he's yelling at her. He's mad at her during that parent-teacher speech. We go back that much. He goes to sleep and he has this weird dream where he's walking. He sees Alex run out of his house. He follows him and follows him into the house. And this is where he sees a gun, like a full-on machine gun, up in the sky with an alarm clock on it that says 2:17. This is weird. I wonder where this is going to come to play at. No, it doesn't go to play at all in this movie. It's just weird imagery for weird imagery. Apparently, I think Zach Krieger said in an interview, this was based off a real dream he had where he just saw a gun with a time in the air, which is weird, and it's weird the way it's represented in the movie. But okay, you do you, I guess. There we go. So, anyways, he has that dream. He's talking to his kid in the dream. Kid's just laying in bed. He's thinking, is saying all this stuff like, I love you, I wish I could have done more. A scene that, personally, for me, I'm not a father, so I didn't really connect with this scene at all. I was just like, okay, emotions not really connecting with me. And then all of a sudden, boom, some creepy face made me jump, obviously, because I do jump. Yet again, it's just another jump scare that's there that we've seen before. Nothing too special about it. So, Josh Brolin, he goes to work, he's a painter. He wakes up, by the way, after that dream and screams, what the you know the rest. And I think that line delivery was pretty great. So he does go to work, he's forgetting all these things, he's distracted by his son, he keeps messing up all these things. He ordered red paint instead of any other one, which is the red paint that supposedly he used to paint the car of Julia Garner's character, the car that said witch. So he's messing all of these things up. He's distracted by his son. He constantly is watching the Zoom camera footage, trying to find where his son went, and this is where the movie almost completely lost me, if I'm being honest. He's going, and he's trying to track where his son's going, and all of a sudden he thinks, I wonder where all the other kids are going. So he gets out a map, he traces where his kid goes, and then he goes to another family's house, gets their Zoom camera, and traces where the kid goes, and it's the exact same place. You're telling me the police didn't think about this? Police didn't think to do this at all? I had to extend my belief in this situation so much. And I told myself, if he finds the kids by doing this, I'm going to be completely checked out of this movie. Fortunately, that doesn't happen until much later to where the movie can win me back. But I am completely disinterested. I think the movie's going in so many different directions that I'm not the biggest fan of. Josh Brolin's driving his truck down the highway. He sees Julia Garner stopped at a gas station. And he's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go talk to her. And he pulls over. He's talking to her. He's like, hey, I know you took the kids. I'm going to find them or whatever. And in the distance, you see, running on a full sprint, with a big smile on his face, it's Benedict Wong. He's got blood covered on his face. And he's relentless. He goes. He tackles Julia Garner. Josh Brolin pulls him off. He gets headbutted back in the face, falls backwards, and they have a fight while Julia Garner goes, runs in the liquor store. What happens next? It's boom! Title card. And at this point, I was like, really? As soon as the movie gets somewhat interesting, we're just going to shy away. Fortunately, the title card stuff wins me back with these next two. The first one, we follow Copy. Again, I don't know his name. He's played by Alden Eldritch, so that could help me out. But I'm just going to call him Copy because I want to. So he's a normal cop, doing normal cop things. He's on the phone with his wife, and this is where the point where I went to the bathroom. So I missed a couple seconds or a couple minutes of the movie, so I can't necessarily touch on that. But he's talking to his wife, girlfriend, whatever. She is out of town. I come back, and he's in a police chase with the druggy character who is trying to get money for the train ticket to see his brother, which is actually not a train ticket to see his brother because he's just a meth head. That's all. So anyways, they're in a car chase. He's chasing him down. He eventually jumps out of his car, tackles him, ties him up, puts the handcuffs on, asks him the question, hey, you got anything in those pockets that could stick me? As someone who is freaking scared of needles, dude, like it's my biggest phobia in life. When he sticks his hand in that pocket and he gets poked by the needles, that's like my biggest fear, is if I ever turn into a cop, which I don't think I'm going to, but like getting your hand stuck by a needle is freaky. So, pissed off, takes his head, bam, slams it on the table or on this car and knocks him out. And he's like, oh crap, I have dash cam footage, I'm pretty much cooked. So he goes, unplugs the dash cam, tries to talk to the guy, he says, yo, pay attention, you don't tell nobody about this, Yeah, we good. So he lets him go, but with a warning. If you ever come to this area again, because he was breaking into this building, if you ever come into this area again, I will kill you, or something along those lines. So he's in trouble at work. They saw the dash cam footage. They say they're not doing anything if the guy doesn't come to complain, or the guy doesn't press charges. If they press charges, this guy is cooked. He's gone. He's no longer a cop. Around this time is also where he meets up with Julia Garner's character, and yes, indeed, they did do the Devil's Tango. I don't think this is necessarily like a big thing that needed to happen in the movie, but you see like 3 seconds of him just absolutely going at it. So that happened in the movie, I guess. So anyways, he's living throughout his days. He's pretty pissed off, and he sees the druggy character standing there at the same place. Oh crap, he says. Not that nicely. He says a different word that I'm not going to say. And Alden Ehrenreich character runs after him. We're in an intense moment, and guess what happens? Boom, title card. Only this time I wasn't bothered by it, because it's a title card of James, I believe that's his name. The druggy character, which I was very interested to see what actually happened there, because I did miss a couple minutes while I was in the bathroom taking a piss. So, that whole section with Copy I thought was pretty good. I actually was more invested in that than I was in Josh Brolin's character or Julia Garner's character. I was like, okay, I'm interested. It makes no sense of how it's working through the story, but I'm interested. And James, his character here that we are going to discover, actually starts playing into the story. So this guy's a druggie. He doesn't want money to go see his brother, obviously. I leaned over to my friend and I'm like, I don't think he wants to see his brother. Yeah, he's shooting heroin, folks. Taking that needle right up to his arm. Hard to watch for me because I have this big phobia of needles. But anyways, he's a druggie. So basically he was trying to break into this building. He's trying to find stuff to sell at a pawn shop. One point he's just going to cars, just checking all the doors. Eventually one opens and he steals a little girl's iPad. So this guy's a charm. And normally I would hate characters like this. I think the performance was really good, really funny, and I did really enjoy this character, and this whole section was kind of a delight to watch, and completely won me back. At this point of the movie, I was like, I'm really digging this. So he tries to break into this building. You know the story. Alden Ehrenreich's character goes, runs him down, gets poked by the needle, tells him if you ever come here, that's bad. A day later, it starts storming outside. Druggie, James, needs a place to go. So what's he do? He goes into a house, breaks into a house. Whose house, you may ask? Well, it's our boy Alex. You know, the only kid that didn't disappear from that class. So, very interesting stuff. He's in the house. He's trying to find stuff to sell. He's taking it back. He's going to start stealing some stuff. He's a thief in this house. He goes to the living room. He finds a Sony NES, or, I think a Sony NES. And it's like, oh, sick. Turns around, and there's two people just sitting there. Got me again. Nice jump scare. They're just sitting there like this. Yes, very, very creepy. He gets creeped out, obviously, but they're not responding. These are people that aren't responding. I was like, they're mannequins, obviously. They're not mannequins. So he goes, he's looking for more stuff. I thought this guy had good survival skills, you know, like the moment he sees something, he starts to leave, but he's still looking to steal some stuff, to where eventually he sees the basement, and he's like, I wonder what's down there. He runs through the basement, and he sees the kids. Yes, that's right. The 17 missing ones. Imagine if they were just completely different kids than the 17 missing ones. That's a completely different movie. Anyways, he found the 17 missing kids. The two people that I thought were mannequins get up, very much not mannequins, and go chasing after him, to where he gets out of the house and runs away. He also steals a bunch of forks, which very next day he goes to the pawn shop and he's selling these forks. You know how much he gets for forks? $100. He's getting $100 for forks. That's a little insane. I only need like 2 forks. I could sell forks and I can get an extra $100. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy to me. But that's besides the point, because he sees in the background a poster. A missing poster. A missing children poster. It says big money. I think $50,000 for any information. And obviously he knows where the kids are. He calls the cops. He's saying, yo, I don't want to go to the police station because there might be one of your cops that is going to murder me. But I will meet you at the exact same place he told me not to go, or he will murder me. This guy's real smart, but he's just a delight. Like I said, I really enjoyed his section in the film. Not only was his character just really fun to go and hang out with, but I think that this is when the movie starts to win me back. Where prior to Copy's area. I feel like the movie had way too much stuff happening, not enough to build momentum to the ending. But, starting with him, and now what we have discovered, where he goes to this area, and, Copy sees him, he starts chasing after him, and I'm like, you know what, this is starting to make sense. This house has the kids, he's going to collect the money, the Copy's after him, and we're going to start getting to the actual plot of the movie, instead of just introducing all this other stuff. So I was all in. So Copy chased him down. James, he finally escapes into this tent in the woods, but before that, he sees some crazy lady in the background. She's just sitting there, leaning over. Hi. Nah. I am out that hoe. I am running like a track star. I am 270 pounds. I am running like a track star. I'm faster than Usain Bolt in this situation. I am gone. That'd freak me out. But no, he just goes to his tent. Someone starts to slowly open the tent. He grabs a handful of needles. Again, hate needles. I don't like this scene. And it turns out it's Copy. He gets face full of needles right to the face. He pulls out a shotgun. You know what? You're dead, punk. And all of a sudden, I know where the kids are. James says he knows where the kids are, and he's probably not going to get that rewards money. So he takes Copy to where the kids are, which is Alex's house. Copy goes in, he knocks on the door, he's invited in by a strange woman. And hours pass. James just sitting in that car. All of a sudden, Copy just runs out of that house, goes to the car, opens the door, and grabs James and drags him inside. So at this point, I'm starting to get an idea of what's happening here. Okay, this house has the kids. There's something going on with this house. I'm pretty sure everyone has an idea of what's happening here. He gets dragged into the house, and that is his section. I think my favorite section of the movie. Actually, second favorite section of the movie. Another section I loved was Benedict Wong's Principal, which is the next section we get. We open up, he's on the phone talking to Julia Garner about the CPS, and it's crazy how we haven't seen a lot of Julia Garner. Like, she was promoted as the lead in the movie. Everybody is the lead. There's not one central lead. The leads are very much Julia Garner and Josh Brolin, but still, we get equal screen time for everybody else. So, Benedict Wong's, he's on the phone with his boyfriend / husband, I don't know, but walking throughout the store, talking about CPS and all that jazz. So, he decides to call the house, and in comes, in his office, a woman. A very strange woman that I'm gonna say from the very first scene that she was in, I was creeped out by this woman. It's Aunt Gladys, a character I had no idea was going to be in this movie, and I think that she was the best part of this movie. Amy Madigan is absolutely insane in this role. Like, she's freaky, she's funny, instantly I'm uncomfortable by her screen presence. Turns out, she says that she is the aunt of Alex, which, again, is very weird. He's trying to speak to the parents. Apparently, they're both very ill, and she's trying to, not let them get anyone sick. I don't care! Aunt Gladys, get the hell out of my office, dude! You're creeping me out, man. Like, I was so creeped out by this scene, like, sitting there like, oh my gosh, I don't like her. So, lo and behold, when Benedict Wong's principal goes to the office, or goes back home from his office, and he's sitting there this weekend, his husband / boyfriend makes 7 hot dogs. That's a little insane. Looks pretty delicious. Low-key, I think I could do about 4.5 of that. Who am I kidding? If I'm hungry, if I haven't eaten for hours, I could do all 7. Just gonna throw that out there, that I am built different when it comes to shoving down wieners. Pause. Anyways, they might be built different when it comes to shoving down wieners, too. Alright, a horrible joke aside, because they're gay. Horrible joke aside, this is a very cool scene because Aunt Gladys comes, knocking at the door. She desperately needs water. I was just on a run and I need a water. Benedict Wong's character has a sneaky feeling like he's like me. No, get the hell away from my house. That is an instant no. as soon as she comes to my door. No, I'm calling the cops. Get away. But the boyfriend or the / husband comes up and he's like, you know what? Yeah, go ahead, come inside. They get her a bowl of water because she has a fetish for a bowl of water, apparently. Her words, not mine. And she goes through the bowl of water, but she pulls out a branch. She has an object of Benedict Wong's, and here's what happens. She's a witch. She has this magic tree. She has an object of Benedict Wong's, tapes it around her, pokes blood into her finger, wraps it around the branch, and all she has to do is and mind control. Benedict Wong's character is completely in the mind control. Actually, no, yeah, it was his object, but also that lock of Julia Garner's hair. That the one person, you remember the Egypt walk person? Yeah, that was her, and she stole a lock of Julia Garner's hair. Benedict Wong is... No, actually, pause again. No, she stole a lock. She walked over to the boyfriend/husband, took a lock of his hair, cut it off, wrapped it around, snapped it. Benedict Wong goes crazy, just throwing the guy to the ground and just... Bah! 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 Absolutely going ham with the head stuff and gives him head, but not to the area you think, to the face. Absolutely smashes the face in. Blood everywhere. Kills the boyfriend/husband, and that's where she wraps the hair of Julia Garner around, snaps it, and now you're all cut up. Benedict Wong absolutely runs. He runs through everything, through restaurants, through a baseball game, just with a smile and face covered in blood. He goes, ha, 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 because what Aunt Gladys does is mind controls people and gets them to do her bidding just by snapping the stick, and he will stop at nothing to kill her. So, back where we're at, Josh Brolin, Julia Garner. Julia Garner's inside the liquor store. Josh Brolin gets in there. Benedict Wong is chasing after them. Josh Brolin, he's out on the ground. He got knocked out, but he's back up. Benedict Wong's about to kill Julia Garner. Josh Brolin comes like a wrecking ball. Bam! Absolutely throws him into the glass where the beer is at. And I hate this part. I love this part, but hate this part. Because the guy behind the counter, the guy that had the woman just tossing liquor on her out, he sees this, and instead of doing anything, like, get out of my store. Doesn't call the cops, doesn't do anything. So that's a little insane. Due to the distraction by Josh Brolin, Julia Garner is able to get out. She gets in her car, does the stupid thing. I can't find my keys. Where's my key holder? There we go. And then drives away. But not before Benedict Wong, who's an absolute unit, smashes the window open. She drives away, and he's after her. Josh Brolin, little late, gets in his truck. He's tracking him down. He's got to hit him to save Julia Garner's life. And all of a sudden, this car comes, smashes him. Benedict Wong is dead. This is insane. I'm all in at this point. Like I said, the first 45 minutes I was completely out. Due to Copy's part, I started to be one back. And now at this point, I was completely one back. And I'm still completely one back. Like this, it's absolutely insane. And that's when we start getting answers. Start following Alex. The kid. Now, let me just start this off by saying Carrie Christopher been playing Alex is absolutely insane. Like, an all-timer performance. I said that my favorite performance by a kid all year was Alfie Williams in 28 Years Later. I think he's still probably the best, but Carrie Christopher is still just a best runner-up. He was incredible in this movie. We're following him. It's a normal day, He's going to school, his dad's driving him home, and all of a sudden he says, son, today's the day where your Aunt Gladys is coming to live with us. Because his mother wants Aunt Gladys to come live with them. Alex is bullied in school. He goes throughout the day. Josh Brolin's dickhead of a son is kicking his lunchbox as Alex asks him to stop, and he doesn't stop. It's just an awful scene. I hated that kid. But, walks out to his dad's car. They're on their way home. Aunt Gladys is at home, but she is sleeping. Or no, actually, Aunt Gladys isn't there yet. He gets home, and as he falls asleep that night, Aunt Gladys gets there. Next day, Aunt Gladys is sleeping through the morning. The parents are having an argument like, yeah, she's creepy as hell. I don't want her in my house. I like the dad. But the mom, like all moms are, actually, my mom would have done the same thing, let her stay in my house. So, yeah, that's not happening. That's creepy. I don't agree with that. If someone creeps you out, kick them out of their house. They didn't do that. But Alex sees her room, creeps open the door, and finds her just laying there completely bald, eyes wide open, staring right at him. He shuts the door, and I'm completely creeped out. Again, Amy Madigan's performance as his character is stunning. So Alex goes to school, he's having a normal day at school, and this is where we start getting the reveals. So basically, Aunt Gladys uses the mind control to just take over the minds of Alex's parents. They are completely lifeless. Alex gets home, they're just sitting there, Aunt Gladys being creepy, she yells at the kid, I hate Aunt Gladys, she's creepy. I've said that 1,000 times, I'll say it 1,000 more, I hate Aunt Gladys, she's creepy. So Alex learns that the parents are completely in mind control, and Aunt Gladys doesn't want Alex telling anybody because she needs to feed off life forces of other people to stay alive because, she's a witch. She's a crazy witch, but she needs to stay alive. So she's feeding off the life force of Alex's parents. To prove a point, she snaps the twig and, they just start going ham. With a fork to their face. Boom, 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 boom. Alex desperately trying to get them to stop, and they don't stop until she says to stop. And they do stop. See, the bowl of water, she just throws sticks in, and that's how they stop. And this is just devastating, because as we follow Alex's plot, is that Aunt Gladys possessed the parent's mind and is using him to help keep her alive. It's diabolical. Where the 17 students are is Alex, to keep her alive, to keep his parents alive, has to go to the school and take stuff from the other kids and give it to Aunt Gladys, and she stole the kids. Police go to his house, she sends the kids away, cleans up the house, and this is again where, nobody bothered to investigate Alex's parents because they're just lifeless, and Aunt Gladys is just like, yeah, they're sick, I'm here, just a random aunt that peered up. It does have flaws, but I'm just so enamored by this twist, and how it's not what I expected at all, and how much I love it, and how much I hate Aunt Gladys. I just think it's a terrible situation for Alex. I felt so bad for him watching this movie, where basically it's him who had to get the 17 kids away. So, Josh Brolin is now with Julia Garner after that whole event. They use the map, they track him to the certain location, which is Alex's house. They go into the house. They're attacked by Copy and Druggy. Druggy's name is James. It's a big action set piece. Alden Ehrenreich, he's got Julia Garner by the throat. Got her in a chokehold here. She has to escape from that. She takes an apple peeler to the face, rips off skin, rips off another strip of skin, and he's not budging. You see, Aunt Gladys put sand around the house. I guess if you step over it, then they attack. James is attacking Josh Brolin's character. Josh Brolin basically is just throwing him around. Picks him up, yeet, picks him up again, see ya, picks him up again, get out of my way, until eventually Julia Garner has to steal Alden Ehrenreich's gun, pops him in the head, and has to pop James in the head too. They're both dead. Meanwhile, Alex, he sees his parents, he steps over the sand, and his parents start going crazy to attack him. So desperately, Alex trying to get out of the situation. He's freaking out. How does he get out? He gets into the room with a magical tree. He steals a twig, wraps a piece of Aunt Gladys's hair around. By the way, Josh Brolin goes down to try to find his son, and Aunt Gladys is just in the corner down there and then it shows her, and I tell you, when I was like, ah! In that theater, I did that because screw that dude. That was genuinely terrifying. I hated that. Thanks, Aunt Gladys, for scaring the hell out of me. Appreciate it. Anytime. Anyways, Alex snaps a twig, and all 17 kids go run after her. I love this part. I mean, Aunt Gladys was instantly, she was going crazy. She had the upper hand, and she's just gone. I'm gone. See ya. She's running, and this is a perfect scene where all the kids, they're just running through people's house, absolute units. There's this one girl who's just hustling as fast as she can, jumps through windows. Aunt Gladys is just running, trying to escape these kids. These kids are chasing after her. It's awesome. It's funny, and it's satisfying because eventually when they catch up to Aunt Gladys, they rip her face, and she's dead. When I tell you I clapped, and I was so happy when Aunt Gladys died because I hate Aunt Gladys. Screw you, Aunt Gladys. She's dead. Hate the situation that happened to Alex. And it's just so satisfying when she's dead. And I'm finding out a lot of people aren't the biggest fans of that. A lot of people think it was such a tone changer. I highly disagree. I think it is a phenomenal ending. Also, a lot of people don't like the fact how the movie ends. It does end rather abruptly, where I had questions. But discussing with my friends, I pretty much figured it out, The longer you are on mind control, the longer vegetable you're going to be. The shorter you are, because Josh Brolin at one point turned into one of the mind control guys. And that's what I mean when Aunt Gladys had the upper hand, is because she had control of Josh Brolin's character. Everybody, is not returned back to normal. They are vegetables. They're trying to regain consciousness. A lot of people are saying that the voiceover of that one girl that's giving the exposition is one of those kids. I disagree. I just think it's like a kid from their school just trying to have that conversation and telling people what happened. But, yeah, I liked that it left room for discussion, didn't full on show us what actually happened with these kids. So, I mean, the last hour and a half of this movie is so batshit insane that I can't help but love it, and all the reveals, all the twists, everything I felt was satisfying. Even though the script, a couple things in the script didn't quite work for me, I thought this movie was incredible. I thought everything that it did was effective, and I highly recommend it to you guys. And that's what I say when I couldn't talk about any of that in my Weapons spoiler-free review. If you're here after watching that review because you saw the movie, really appreciate you guys tuning by. Now, in that review, I obviously gave the movie an A, and it's an instant buy on 4K. I'm not going to put up the graphics or anything because I'm just talking, but I have that spoiler-free review. So thank you guys for clicking on this video. Thanks for watching the spoiler breakdown of Weapons. And with that said, subscribe.